We are live from the Element Well studio. We're pleased to welcome now the Secretary of State of the great state of Mississippi, Secretary Michael Watson. Mr. Secretary, big election day. Give us the scoop. What's going on, man? Good to see you.
Same to you, and I always appreciate you having me on, especially on election days, just to continue to get the word out. As I've told everybody, look, this is such an important day because the municipal elections are really the ones that impact your lives every single day, whether it's garbage pickup, whether it's police, firefighters, infrastructure, you name it. This is a very important day for not only our cities, but our state as a whole, because we've got to have vibrant cities to make sure that our state continues to progress the way it's going right now. So not too much out there so far. We've heard a couple of different issues, but nothing big that really bothers me. No election day is perfect. You're going to have small issues from time to time. So really appreciate the folks that are out there doing the hard work of running these elections. We've got probably 10 to 15 folks out around the state. Many times we get phone calls with different elections, counties, cities, you name it. Today it's cities, where they say, look, we've heard some interesting things. We'd like to have you and have somebody with the eyes on the ground. So we'll have people out in various cities that going from precinct to precinct, making sure the law is being followed. So we don't just talk about election integrity, Gerard. We actually enforce election integrity. So hopefully this will be a great day.
Yeah. So is there anything sort of unique about any of the races across the state? Like it's my understanding in the city of Madison, for example, that there are no opponents challenging incumbents who are all running, and therefore it's their prerogative not to conduct an election since there's only one candidate on the ballot for each office. Is that true?
Right. They could have dispensed with these elections. An interesting point here, Pascagoula actually had that issue, and the candidate, which would have won, passed away, and they had not dispensed with the election. So then it becomes a write-in campaign. So there are some different laws and different things that can happen. This one specifically took place down in Pascagoula. So my hometown, and another reason why it's important for us to have open lines of communication with our local election officials. Some were kind of concerned, what exactly do we do now? So that's when we step in and advise them, hey, here's what the statute says. Here's how you should conduct this election moving forward. And then we answer questions for constituents as well who have those certain issues in their cities and want to know exactly what's going on. So, yeah, there are issues like that can take place, and they can dispense with those elections if they so choose.
Okay, gotcha. Anything about the polling locations, change in precincts people need to be aware of? I know I live in a district where my municipal voting location is different than all the other elections.
That's right. Look, our My Election Day tool is very important. We get that information from the counties and cities themselves, so you can locate your polling precinct. What I would tell you is, though, most importantly, is make sure you're checking in with your local elected officials. For instance, I know Moss Point recently moved to the combined precinct model, where they are all at Pelican Landing now. So you won't go to a different precinct. Everyone is held in that. I think Louisville's the same. I think Oxford's the same. So you got some different municipalities that now contain their municipal elections in one building. Some are going to have the same precincts they had before. We've had a couple of call-ins of precincts open a little bit late. So again, you're going to have some of those issues on election day, but most importantly, call your municipal clerks if you've got questions about the precinct, if we've changed, where I need to go. And then you're always free to call us at the Secretary of State's office. I want to make sure people understand we'll always be that backstop. We'll always answer your questions and make sure you have the information you need.
Gotcha. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming out of Washington. The president signing an executive order that essentially requires what it seems like we already have, which is you got to be a citizen to register and vote in this country. I'm sure your office has been all over this. How would that affect, Mr. Secretary, the registration process in Mississippi and perhaps even the voting process?
Yeah, so we've had this conversation a couple of times. I've seen some of it on social media, whether you come in with proof of residence or proof of citizenship, you name it. One of the first things that we did, and you'll recall back on the 2019 campaign trail, I talked about making sure that only United States citizens were voting in our elections. That wasn't just a topic because it was popular back then. Not a lot of folks were talking about it as much back then as they are now. That was because I believed in that. And so we got the legislature to put that into law, finally passing the last piece of that that back in 2023 is now fully implemented. So every individual that registers to vote in Mississippi will have their information bounced off a security database, and it says, hey, this person may be a citizen or may be a non-citizen. And if that's the case, they're flagged. They have an opportunity to come in and prove their citizenship on the back end within 30 days from their circuit clerk's office. So that's everybody. It's not just, hey, we think this person may be a non-citizen or that person may be. Every single person goes through these background checks. So I think it's really important for Mississippians to know. The legislature also gave us a year to go through the entire voter roll database to make sure that only United States citizens were on our list. So we're doing that this year, finishing up this year. So really excited about that as well. So yes, the executive order is, in my opinion, is kind of common sense. There are some things in there that I will say, Gerard, look, just like the last administration, state level is where elections should be dealt with. There are some issues, small issues that the federal government can play with legislatively with federal elections, but not state elections themselves.
Right.
And so we got to be careful with that, making sure that the states still have the abilities to run their elections at the state level as opposed to the federal overreach. And I was in the White House last week and sat down with some folks there and told them, look, some of the concerns I'm hearing and some of the things that I'm reading sounds a little bit like the last administration with federal overreach. So let's be very careful with that. And they were very gracious and said, look, why don't you get some feedback from your secretaries around the country? I was just literally on the phone with secretaries from across the country about 15 minutes ago, talking about this executive order, talking about some other things that have come out from the RNC. So we're working on that, and we're going to have a request into the president to have a round table. Let's talk about this on the front end before we get these EOs, and then we hear about it on the back end. And hopefully we can maybe better educate the White House and some of the other officials about the state level and how that works and why we think it's very important to maintain at that level.
I mean, you and I have had this discussion before. We already have a fairly robust process, do we not, to determine and ascertain that an individual registering to vote is a citizen. You check a couple of databases now, right? Do some cross-checking, maybe even 3 here in Mississippi. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so we do several different things. Obviously, we have what's called DPS verified. So that's where the Department of Public Safety, we use some of their background checks as well. I've told you before, we're signing MOUs with different states as well. All of them in the Southeast so far, where we can check our database against their database. Again, if they've got some information that says this person may not be a citizen and then it bounces on our database, then we can see that as well. So we've got multiple areas to check. We also are recently, we had a process with the EAC that came in and did basically a pilot program with Experian, who collects, as you well know, commercial data. And that's a new way that we're going to be looking at our voter rolls, which actually has more accurate information than the old way that we've been checking our voter rolls. So Mississippi is on the cutting edge, on the front end of a lot of these issues with making sure our voter rolls are clean. So really proud of the work we're doing.
Okay. Well, I think on our driver's licenses, I think Rhino looked up this a couple of weeks ago, you can get a driver's license, but it clearly states on the driver's license non-citizen license or something to that effect. So if somebody comes in, they present their driver's license, could that serve as evidence that they're a citizen? You're still going to do all the various checks. I get that, but do you have to show up now and say, okay, here's proof that I'm a citizen? Because I know you signed the affidavit, right, where you attest that I'm a citizen to some extent. That's got a little teeth in it.
Right. That's current law. They have to attest that they are a citizen. And then again, as I mentioned, we go through the security database checks. The real ID is an issue that we are seeing now. A lot of states are coming into compliance with. Again, that has a background check for citizen status. So if you've got that little star on your driver's license, that should prove your citizenship. But you're correct. You can. Some folks that are non-citizens can get a driver's license, but it says it on your driver's license. I actually asked DPS, hey, I want to see a copy. I want to make sure that we can trust this. And so they sent me a picture of one. So that's going on as well. Again, I think there are so many eyes here in Mississippi, and it's been such an important topic for us for election integrity that Mississippi's in great shape when it comes to making sure the citizens are voting in our elections.
So not too much of an upheaval from this EO, but I share your concerns, and I'm glad, honestly, you voiced those to the administration, that be careful here. We get what you're trying to do, but this is a purview for the states, because as you and I have talked about many times, the Democrats want just the opposite. They want to completely federalize, which would be a disaster, all elections.
That's exactly
integrity would be thrown out the window at that point.
And that's what I brought up to the White House. Look, are we getting to where every 4 years the pendulum's going to go this way and then that way and this way and that way? That's not good. That's not good
Yeah,
for
agree.
elections. It's not good for our country. So we want to make sure that we're staying within the bounds of the law, but also acting as good conservatives.
Got it. Mr. Secretary, appreciate you taking time out of this busy election day to check in with us. I'm sure we'll be talking soon, but let's have a good one. I know we will. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
That's right. Go get them. Thank you, sir.
We're coming right back in the Element Well studio.